You did YC. Walk me through maybe like crossing that chasm. Were you out in San Francisco? I think it was probably in person still, right before COVID.
Yeah, so some of the things that we learned after Wiblets, which was the gaming company, was we like wrote a rubric for building the next company. So like Colin and I took like 3 months off. That's my brother. We started just building more before and after work. I'd like wake up at 4 and I'd start coding, and then I'd go into work at 9. And I think that was a really important thing for us, was that we wanted to de-risk the next business. And that meant trying to make a real product and get real revenue before you quit your job. Right. And so we were still kind of on this bootstrapped mentality, and we tried a few different things. Our other rule was that we wanted to build an MVP in 3 months. And so we would build like a product in 3 months. We would take it to market. And if the reception was poor, we would just kind of scrap it. Or if we couldn't iterate through it, we would just scrap it and then we'd build another one. And so we were trying a bunch of different ideas at the time. And then, I was in e-commerce, and a buddy of mine was like, hey, how come I can't text my customers? That seems like it'd be a good idea. And I was just like, hey, if I built that, would you pay me $50 a month? I was just trying to get the first customer. And he's like, sure. And so I knew that there would be at least one person that would pay for this idea. And it ended up that the idea had legs. It would grow very quickly. So even when the product was broken, it was out there and people were trying to sign up. Like it wasn't really working, and they were trying to sign up and use it. And this was all still while we had a job and we were working remotely. I was in LA and my brother was in Phoenix. And we actually wanted to build a remote company from day one. This was pre-COVID, so it was a newish idea. I think there was like Zapier, InVision, GitLab were some of the only remote companies. But we were like, hey, we think that this is kind of the future. We should lean in here. I remember doing the YC application where we started with $0 in MRR. But by the time they processed the YC application, we had been updating the like about me section because it was the only thing you could change in the application, and we had like $1,000 of MRR or something. And so they saw us updating it live in the application, which is why they brought us in. And yeah, I think that like brought us into the SF culture. But the company, I think, would have been a successful bootstrap company outside of that, but we really saw the opportunity as VC backed and larger. And what's the easiest way to kind of break into that? It's through YC and Bucket List. It was, YC's great and everything like that. So I think that like healthy, successful business beforehand and then YC. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you a little nervous applying for YC? This is sort of a whole new world. Or were you like, we're just going to do this thing, and if it works out, great. If not, we're going to just keep bootstrapping?
I think that gave us a lot of confidence, was that we had real revenue and we're growing pretty quickly organically, right? So this is when the Shopify App Store had probably 500 apps. I think now it has 25,000 or something like that. And so we were getting a lot of natural organic growth without having to spend anything. And so we had the confidence that it would be a successful company regardless, or at least a successful side project, whatever you want to call that. I think that it was thrilling to get to interview at YC and then get accepted for sure, because I think that it's just the caliber of people that you get to be around and influenced by is very high, right? It's kind of like when you go from high school to college. And if you were like top of your class in high school and you go to college, you're like, whoa, there's all sorts of other smart people here. And then you go like, as you go up, it just gets smaller. And I hadn't been exposed to, Forbes 30 under 30 people, or people who worked in the Obama administration, different things like that. And so that was really cool to have. But I think that in getting exposed, like, Michael Seibel and Kevin Hale and Tim Brady were our group partners, like the small group. And that was also just really cool to see. I mean, like we say that Michael Seibel has a wizard brain. Like he would just be able to, anybody would say what they're doing and he would be able to say good or bad idea. This is why, this is where you should dig.
Oh, wow.
And he would just like totally tear apart in a good way people's ideas and businesses in 5 minutes in a way that you were just like, oh, all of that makes a ton of sense. And the pattern matching across everything they have at YC is quite strong.